Good morning. How you doing? It's the 4th of September 2019. I'm Richie Allen and you're on YouTube with me. This is the live stream that I do every morning at 9:30 where we have a look through the newspapers. You might have noticed I've rebranded the YouTube upload of the radio show as the Richie Allen Radio Show. For those of you who don't know the difference between this nonsense here right now, this garbage, unmitigated crap. Excuse me. Bit of breakfast still lingering there. This crap and the professionalism of the radio show. Anyway, are you well? You good? It's Wednesday, obviously Wednesday morning. It's exciting times in Manchester because the Ashes cricket fourth test landed in Manchester this week. And the first ball will be bowled in anger at 11 o'clock this morning at Old Trafford, that cathedral. That's Old Trafford Cricket Ground, which is about a third of a mile away, or a half a mile, not even half a mile away from Old Trafford Football Soccer Ground. I'd love to be there, but I'm stuck here with you. That's all right too, I don't mind. So the cricket is in Manchester. So when I get finished with you this morning, and I go for my jog, I'll be rushing back to produce the radio show with the cricket on in the background. So I will. I'm going to do a quick roll call, then I'm going to ignore the chat because I've got lots to do. Sorry about that. It won't be a regular thing. I can't keep reading messages. Not this morning. I've got plenty of things to be doing this morning. Cricket being one of them. How you, Dean? How you, Blue Beam? Anonymous in Western Massachusetts. Semtex O'Dynamite. Good morning to you. Hi to Jesus Jones 26, Sean Mack, Kekovich, Trevor the Mule, who once bought a Bonnie Tyler sat-nav. It was crap, kept telling me to turn around, and every now and then it falls apart. Very good. I like it. Hi to Liz McFall, turn around. It's been a while since I sang for you, and I know what a wonderful singing voice I have. How important it is that I share it with the world, that I'm not selfish, that I don't keep it for myself. Turn around. Hi Joe Public, how you doing Joe? Hi to D-Walk, how you doing D-Walk? Chris Brown, Venus Rising, Jimmy Griff, Thretiglenberg, Lucy Jane, how you doing Lucy Jane? Martin Coombs, Etic Boxon, CF4 News, Deborah D. Domenico, good morning. Good morning to Daz, Sooties Rehab, Andrew Bell, PB Awake, John Parsons in Salford, who says it's sad, I feel like giving up Richie, no such thing as democracy, no representation for workers, what are we to do? God help us if Boris Johnson is our saviour. Hi to John and Sarah Stott. Looking forward to a good rant. I'm not sure I have a rant. I don't prepare anyway, so if there is a rant, it's genuine. I don't feel any kind of a rant coming on today. Hi to the Mormon in Little Rock, Arkansas. How you doing? Erstats Mode. Rose Williams. To Gail, to Occult Priestess. Happy Woden's Day, Richie. Hi to you. Hi to Storm the Pitbull, Stuart Batty, Cleontopoulos. Say what you want about Alexis Tsipras, Richie, but at least he had the balls to sell his people the same night of the referendum. He did, didn't he? You guys are dragging it out as if it was a soap opera. Well done. Top Gear says, up the dubs, up Eraig Kiri Akara. Eraig Kiri. Saturday week, by the way, for the All-Ireland football replay. Marvellous. Jason Hurley, Josh Ratcliffe, Martin Ellen, Fred Luce, Truthside, Gina Mills, good morning Gina. Una, good morning. Good morning Jean All, good morning all from Jean Ann in Cleggan. How you doing Jean Ann? That's the great Jean Ann Crowley. Not too many Jean Anns in the world. Good stuff. Right. I'm going to crack on. I was asked by a Twitter person this morning, what's that book, Richie, that you recommend? There it is. It's The Nazi Roots of the Brussels EU. It tells you exactly who the architects of the European Union were and are, and where it's all meant to lead. Not very many copies of it about, though. Brilliant stuff. All right. Turn around. Here we go. Let's have a look at the front pages of the Wednesday morning newspapers. We'll start with the Daily Mirror. the Daily Mirror. Now the Metro. That's right, the Metro. Now the MPs take control. Last night, just after 10, the MPs voted on taking control of the business of the House, and they succeeded by 27 votes, I think, which led to the withdrawal of the whip of about 22 or 23 Conservative Party MPs today, including Nicholas Soames, Rory Stewart, all the rebels who voted with Corbyn and his band of merry Ramoners. Today, because MPs have basically taken control of the order of business, which is an amazing thing, because the government, the elected government, ordinarily gets to decide on the business of the House, right? And gets to propose legislation. The government proposes legislation. But now we have the opposition parties, whom today will attempt to force, there will be a vote today on taking no deal completely out of the equation and suspending the Brexit date, the leave date, still further until January 31st next year. And Posh and Beck went for a night out with Kieran Culkin. I think that is, or Rory Culkin. Is it, or is it their son, Brooklyn? Oh, it's their son, Brooklyn. He looks very like one of the Culkins, doesn't he? There you are, right. Screw that. The eye paper, Johnson loses control. He does. Did. There you are. Now, I think we do have the Mirror this time. Boris loses control. Scratching his head there. Boris Johnson. 21 Tory rebels vote down PM's plans. 21 Tory rebels received a text message late last night to say that they would have the whip withdrawn from them. They still sit in the House of Commons as Conservative Party MPs, but they are no longer subject to party orders, recommendations, the whip. And in Ken Clarke, by the way, the father of the House, was also told the whip would be withdrawn from him because he voted with the Ramoners. It's all, it's amazing this. It's not really, but anyway. Some of them said, like him and like Nicholas Soames, who's been a lecherous, parasitic fecker for 36 years, Soames and Clarke, well, we weren't going to stand again anyway. They won't get to stand for the Conservative Party at the next election, whenever that will be, and it might be sooner rather than later. That's the Mirror. The Guardian. Humiliation for Johnson as Tory rebels turn against him. The Guardian would take that line, wouldn't it? That it's humiliating for Corbyn. That's the Guardian. Financial Times. Brexit strategy in ruins as anti-no deal MPs inflict defeat. Lovely. What else have we got? The Express. Parliament surrenders to the European Union. On another shameful day in our so-called democracy, rebel MPs vote to betray Brexit as Corbyn wants to block PM's snap election. That's the Express. The Telegraph. Johnson demands election. But you see, because of the Fixed Term Parliament Act, he can't call an election unless 2/3 of the House of Commons agree with him. And Labour, as Keir Starmer, the shadow Brexit secretary, has been saying this morning, and Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the Labour Party, has been saying this morning, they're not inclined to give Johnson what he wants immediately and vote for a snap general election. Apparently Corbyn has said if and when no deal is taken off the table today entirely, then Labour might vote for that general election. Right? More on that maybe in a minute. Do you understand all of this? Are you following it? It's not that difficult to follow. Daily Mail, now you decide Britain. But when though? October 14th? October 15th? Maybe. He needs to get 2/3 majority. 2/3 of the House of Commons need to vote with him because of the Fixed Term Parliament Act, which says that a term of Parliament must be 5 years. And that act is to prevent elections every other year, basically. The Sun, over to you, Britain, says the Sun. PM's bid for election, no deal is blocked. Remainers win, 21 Tories back Labour. Yeah. The Times, PM loses historic vote. following this last night, were you? And the Star, are we going to have a clean sweep? Are we going to have a clean sweep where all of the newspapers are talking about Brexit? Even the tabloids forego their usual reality TV front pages. Drum roll, please. Clean sweep, the Star. No! No! The Star goes with a picture of Amanda Holden and a story about Michael Owen's autobiography. And Just Jane is dealing with the vitally important domestic issues of lesbian lovers using their partners. That's the Star. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. Some really interesting things. What's going on? Do you want to know what's going on? So Jeremy Corbyn has said, look, there's no consent to leave the European Union without a deal. Corbyn is saying. By consent, he means members of Parliament, MPs. MPs are mostly, the majority of MPs, members of Parliament, do not want to leave the European Union, have never wanted to leave the European Union, and they get their oxygen, most of those MPs, from globalists, from corporations, from special interest groups who donate to them and who own them, lock, stock and barrel. Didn't matter that 52% of the country voted to leave the European Union. Most MPs are not in favour of it because their paymasters and paymistresses are heavily invested in the enduring success of the European Union and of the European Union getting more and more undemocratic, anti-democratic, more military alignment, more fiscal alignment, and the complete death of sovereignty of nation states in Europe. That's where these MPs are coming from. They've been out to sabotage it from day one. A number of people are claiming that they predicted all this. Bullshit, you didn't predict it. I'm going to sit here today and I'm going to be triumphalist because I get so much wrong when I make predictions. I predicted what's happened down to the very letter of it. Even when they were taking months and months and months to trigger Article 50. Remember when we voted to leave the European Union on June 23rd, 2016. Remember? I said that they would not trigger Article 50 immediately. They would delay that. 6 months later, they triggered Article 50, and I said the reason they're doing it now is because Article 50, basically by triggering it, you then initiated a 2-year negotiation process. Right? Article 50 is an EU clause. Any country voting to leave the European Union must then trigger Article 50. You do so by writing to the European Union to signify your intent to leave. That then begins a 2-year process where the departing country and the European Union talk about the future relationship. 2 years. I said, and I did say it in early 2017, in March 2017. The reason they delayed so long was because the 2-year period would end right bang smack in the middle of EU parliamentary elections. I predicted how it would bring down Theresa May's government. I predicted the election scenario, and I ultimately predicted, and I haven't been proven right yet, but I will be, maybe I won't be, that the Conservative Party would be destroyed, and that despite the polls seemingly showing Corbyn, that moron Corbyn, being miles behind the Conservative Party, my prediction is Jeremy Corbyn will lead a coalition government after the next election. End of Brexit. It'll never happen. Been saying that for 3 years, and I think it's happening. It's unfolding right in front of us. And another thing has occurred to me. I wonder. With the success of the Brexit Party at the EU parliamentary elections a few weeks ago, with the absolute disarray, planned chaos of the Conservative Party. Now this is pure fancy. I'm not predicting this, I'm just fantasising. Imagine after the next general election, the main opposition party might be the Brexit Party. The Conservative Party might suffer a defeat that dwarfs recent parliamentary defeats by parties like the Liberal Democrats. Imagine that as a possibility. Now, it's fanciful, yes, But it's not beyond the pale. Corbyn will lead maybe a minority coalition government, maybe. Right? Lib Dems, Change UK, the SNPs, some independents, Corbyn. And maybe the opposition party will be the Brexit party, because maybe the Brexit party will annihilate the Conservatives at the next general election. The Conservatives will be punished for not delivering Brexit. Maybe. Of course, remember, none of it matters. Somebody said to me the other day, you're playing head games with us, Richie, when you say that. What do you mean? Well, what I mean is that the shadowy figures whose names most people have never heard of, behind all of these agendas, they don't give a damn who's in Parliament and who isn't. Ultimately. Because their agenda will endure until people stand up for it and take back control for themselves, is what I've said a million times. So it's all very interesting, right? All very funny to watch. But yeah, I did call it. I've called it exactly as it's happened. For once, I suppose. But so people say, I predicted all this. I said we'd never leave. No, you didn't. Yeah, it's easy enough to say we'll never leave. I saw the timeline 3 years ago, how they would do it. And I managed to do that because I've been covering politics as a mainstream journalist, producer and presenter for years and years and years. And the Article 50 thing was key. You know, you decide to leave the European Union or any other club, you fucking leave that day. You have the vote June 23rd, the following morning. Adios, we're gone, bye now. Oh, we have to no, we don't have to negotiate anything, piss off. Trading relationships remain the same unless you want to throw a spanner in the works, and if you do, we'll punish you 3 times harder than you could punish us. Now go away. That's how it should have ended. The 2-year Article 50 thing, beautiful. Yeah, gives us 2 years to reverse it. That's what's happened. Madness. Daily Mail, Johnson wants snap election. He's going to have to get the support of the Labour Party for that. We'll see today. It's going to be an interesting day again today. That's in the Daily Mail. What else have we got? The Tories are pissed off with this guy, John Bercow. He's a Speaker of the House. He is a Conservative, but when you're elected Speaker of the House, you become neutral. And you're no longer counted as an MP for your party. And ordinarily, you get a free run at a general election. Like your party will give you a free run. But so pissed off are the Conservatives, allegedly, with Bercow's absolute lack of objectivity. The guy's a staunch Remainer, and has done everything that he can to facilitate all of these votes to scupper Brexit. All of this unprecedented stuff that's happened, he's enabled it. And according to the Telegraph today, Conservatives are planning to put a Conservative candidate against him in the forthcoming general election. It's all pure theatre, soap opera stuff, but people are lapping it up. They are lapping it up. Let's see, the Times, yeah, that's the official result from yesterday. It's all there, it's all good. And it's all mad. Hey, do you want me to give you an illustration as to what the European Union does? I mean, I've gotten 2 things. Again, I'm not being self-deprecating when I talk about my predictive skills, my ability to prophesize. I'm not being self-deprecating. While I think I generally have an understanding of the agenda, I often predict how it will unfold, and I often get it wrong. I'll be the first to admit it. It doesn't mean that the ultimate agenda is something I don't understand. I think I do. I think you do. But how you get from A to Z, we know what Z is going to look like. Sometimes it's not easy to predict how they get through the letters. LMNOP, QRST, UVW and all the rest of it. Right. But, 2 things I've gotten right. One, before the referendum here, one of the things I got right was Alexis Tsipras. It was mentioned by one of our viewers there a moment ago. And to be fair to David Icke always said that. He said, Richie, you got it bang on. Nobody else saw that. Tsipras came in with Herman Munster, Yanis Varoufakis, and said, we'll deliver Greece Syriza from the clutches of the tyrannical European Union, and 'twas the greatest Trojan horse in history. And I predicted all of that, even on the day he was elected. Because I could see it. I know what the European Union is. I've been covering it since my days as a junior reporter in Waterford City, through my, progress and promotion to producer, presenter. I've been following the European Union. I know what it does. And there's a wonderful story in the Irish Times today which beautifully illustrates what the European Union is, what it does to nation states. I'll share it with you. Shall I? All right. Here we go. This is in the Irish Times today. And it's about water. Uisce. U-I-S-C-E. Uisce. It's like play school here. I'll give you an Irish word every day. Gaeilge. Uisce. Okay? Irish Times. European Commission expresses concerns about Irish water charges. This is fantastic. There's going to be a referendum next year in Ireland on the ownership of water in Ireland, my country, which I've not been back to since 2003. Be Jesus, would you believe it? So the Director General, the Commission's Director General for Environment, a guy called Daniel Kelecha, has been writing to the Irish ambassador to the European Union, and began writing to him back in February, outlining the European Union's concerns. The European Union's concerns about Ireland's domestic water charges regime. It's a big story, this. And you can read that on go to Irish Times online. They allow you to read a few articles for free. This is what we talk about when we talk about vassal states, when we talk about countries held hostage, when we talk about a complete lack of or death of sovereignty. This is the European Union threatening the Irish government about taxation. Let me just explain it to you there. Okay? The European Union notes Ireland is in the implementation phase of new domestic water charging policies, but they asked the Irish authorities to provide integrated and detailed information about our domestic water management policy. The European Union wants information about the funding of Ireland's water infrastructure, including for the much needed upgrade of Ireland's wastewater infrastructure and drinking water supplies. How the government plans to address the fact that 8% of households currently use 30% of the water supply. So what's it about? You're saying, I'm kind of getting it, Richie, but I don't understand it. What's it about? Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what it's about. You might know this, you might not know this. But if you don't know it, I'm going to share it with you. Told you, car crash television. Right. Up until 2015, 4 years ago, the local authorities in Ireland ran water. They ran the water supply. They ran it. And people got their water, their domestic water, piped into their houses. And it was paid for through central taxation. Do you understand that? You get that through your income tax. That's what paid for it. Up until 2015. But even in 2015, Irish people knew that this was under threat. Because back in 2010, the European Union bailed Ireland out to the tune of billions and billions of euro. Bailed Ireland out. Remember this now, these bailout terms. The European Central Bank, the IMF, the European Union, the Troika, gave billions and billions of pounds of invisible money. Punts, as it was way back in the day, euro. They did the same with Greece, Portugal, Spain, Italy, any country joining the European Union. Grants in the billions. Invisible money now. There was no risk taken by the European Central Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the European Union. It was money that was imagined into existence and gave it to these countries. And then 15, 20 years later, came back and said, we want that money back now. See, I talk about this all the time. Long-time listeners to the radio show will understand this. We can't pay it back, no, says the Irish Taoiseach of the day. We don't have any money, no, says the Irish finance minister of the day. We don't have it. And the European Union says in 2010, right, ha ha, you don't have it, don't you, you little leprechauns. I'll tell you what we'll do. We want you to tax the absolute bejesus out of your people. One of the ways you'll do this is you'll set up a new body to run the water. It'll be a semi-state body. And it'll begin to bill people for their water supply. Set up meters everywhere. Bord Gáis Arvia runs a subsidiary called Irish Water. And rather than water being paid for through central taxation, the European Union said no. Water will now be funded through direct billing, and we covered on the programme, the Richie radio show a few years ago, Irish people stood up to this. They were up in arms against it. They marched, they stood on their streets and prevented people's water being turned off. They prevented meters being built and all the rest of it. But that's what the European Union does. That's what the narcissistic millennials, fuckwits, don't understand because they don't know. This is what happens, the European Union. And now there's, do I say it hesitantly, will there be a referendum next year? There's supposed to be a referendum next year anyway, where the Irish people get to go and vote on the ownership of Irish water. This is the European Union. I think I've explained that in a way that you can understand it. That's how it works. It is as simple as that. That is the European Union. That is the agenda. That is how it has played out in the nation states of Europe, the nation states that are members of the European Union, the European project. That's what it is. Right? Don't take my word for it. All of that information is in the public domain, so go and look it up for yourself. Don't be lazy. It's all true. European Union. Imagine sending threatening letters to a so-called sovereign state, to a minister of a so-called sovereign state, saying, we're going to tell you what to do with your water and how to charge for it, because you owe us all this money. My country. Said it before, Markovich, W.B. Yeats, Stuart Parnell, Michael Collins, spinning in their fucking graves if they knew that their efforts to repel the vicious British Empire from our shores resulted in the place Ireland resides today, a vassal state of the European Union. It's a dreadful thing. Shall I read a few comments quickly before we move on? Yeah? Do you understand all that? In the Irish Times today, it's beautiful. Right there. Oh, God. Hi to Steve Bennett, to Dick Scratcher. Leave your dick alone, Dick. Hi to Norfolk Iceni. How you doing, pal? Kevin Hansen. How you doing, Kevin? Storm the... I might have mentioned M. Richardson. How you doing, M? Let's see. Let's go on down. To Venus Rising. How you doing, Venus? Neil. Lucy asked me, what do you think about Neil Sanders' view about the City of London and how it fits into this? I have a lot of sympathy with Neil's position on all of this. I think he's on the right track. Go to neilsandersmindcontrol.com to read more. Very, very interesting man. Very, very well briefed. His take on it is terrific. Rhonda Matthew from Australia. How you doing, Rhonda? Listening in Australia right now. Hi to Chris. Wars will be waged over water in the future, says Chris. Jean Ann says the Irish Times has turned into another propaganda sheet like the New York Times now, and Bezos blog, as some refer to the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos' blog. Very good point, Jean Ann. Hi to Jason Williamson, who says he's going to pull his daughter out of school to homeschool education by the Richie Allen Academy. Don't inflict that on your kid. Hi to Theresa Smuts, to mad about the boy. Nigel Coder says, come on Salford, who defeated the Aston Villa under-21s last night in the FA Trophy. I wasn't there. It's the first home match of the season that I've missed, and it's because of work, because I had a lot to do after the show last night. I couldn't get over to Moor Lane, which is only around the corner, but we put Aston Villa's under 21s to the sword last night, so we did. Salford, up the Ammies. 5 years time, Premier League. No fucking chance. Jean-Anne says that she will not be paying Ishka charges and she's not alone. Good for you. Jean-Anne means it. You won't find a more sincere or learned human being than Jean-Anne Crowley. It's an outrage to ask people to pay for water. It's a human right. Do you remember that dickhead, that German guy from Nestle? Do you remember him years ago? Water is not a human right, yeah? Say that to me face. See how far you get with that one. Unbelievable. Tuha Dedanan says people will be on the streets again fighting about this. Hope so. Some interesting stories. Do you want me to do some interesting non-Brexit stories? Hi to Cocabelle. How you doing, kid? Hope all is well with you. Singer-songwriter there. Carl Rayner. How you doing, Carl? Carl Rayner says it looks like Richie's shadow banning people. Carl, you are a useless fucking moron. Nobody is shadow banning anybody, dickhead. Is that over the top? Is it? Is that conduct unbecoming of a professional presenter? I'm sick of you miserable fucking snowflakes. I'm not shadow banning anybody. When you post a comment to fucking Google's YouTube, you have trigger words in there without even realising it. And they hide your comments. Not me. Not Rog. Nobody. I don't care. You're a nobody, Carl, to me. I don't know who you are. I couldn't care less what you say about the show, about the subjects, about me. You couldn't give a shit, Carl. Why? Who are you to me, you fucking dickhead? People! Shadow banning. Holy Jesus. I've read your comment out, Carl, so how you been shadow banned? Muppet! Wake up. This is the delusion of grandeur. This is what social media does to people. Living on and hanging out on social media, you start to get delusions of grandeur, like you're important. Like, I really give a shit about what you have to say. You know what I mean? I couldn't care less. People. Hi from Dublin, says Menapia, man. How you doing, pal? Hi to Richard Murray. Here's another comment from Carl Rayner, who's not being shadow banned. Not voting suits the establishment. Wanker! It doesn't suit the establishment. Rothschild said it himself. I care not who sits on the throne of England. Give me control of a nation's money supply. They don't care. They don't care. Not voting does not suit the establishment. The establishment, ultimately, if it fears anything, it fears enough people eventually waking up to implement a serious, radical agenda of non-violent civil disobedience. That's what they fear, if they fear anything. But they're not scared of people not voting. Jesus Christ. Carl, give up, man. Stop watching this. It's a waste of your time and a waste of my time. Unbelievable. Hi to Chris Morell. Hi to Craig Storer. How you doing? How you doing, Craig? Thanks very much, mate, for the support. I appreciate it. Good stuff. You're if you believe that your vote still makes a difference, forget about it. You need to go and find some of the other alleged independent media, the mainstream light in this country, who will endorse Jeremy Corbyn and endorse other politicians. If you believe that, if you still believe that you can affect change, you can alter this paradigm by going to the ballot box in a few weeks' time, well, you're so far off the pace, mate, forget about it. It's as simple as that. Go and waste somebody else's time, you know. And it's not that I don't have any respect for your opinion. I'm not being hypocritical here. I listen to anybody. But you're just way behind, you know. You're like that 17-year-old kid that's still in second grade, you know. You're nowhere near it if you think that you can change things by voting. No, you can't. Ever. Right, let's leave Brexit and all that and let's get into some interesting things. Mississippi wedding venue refuses interracial pair over owner's Christian faith. This is mad. An interracial couple went to a wedding venue and said, join us in holy matrimony. And the Christian owner said, well, no, I think it's unholy. I'm not going to marry you. And the Christian person said, I won't marry you and I won't marry same-sex couples because of my Christian beliefs. Now, I think the owner of the wedding venue is a moron. You know that. That's what I would think, right? Just marry them. None of your business. Do they love each other? Marry them. Anyway, there was an exchange that was filmed, and the owner said, yes, we don't do gay weddings or mixed race. Okay. The owner then apologised, and the video was reported by a website called Deep South Voice. Tell you what annoys me about it. Again, we're back to this weird paradigm of Twitter storms and trial by Twitter, trial by social media. This annoyed me. And it annoyed me because it triggered me. Because it brought me back to a few weeks ago. This annoyed me. Show you this now. The offended person, the woman who was turned down from, who was refused permission to marry her partner at that chapel, goes on Twitter with this Twitter do your thing bullshit. This fuckology. This really pisses me off. This is where we are now. You've got a private dispute with the chapel. You go and deal with it. If you feel that you've been wronged and your civil rights have been infringed upon by the owners of the chapel, you deal with it through the official channels. But no, I'll go on Twitter now with this catchphrase which has entered our lexicon. Twitter, do your fucking thing. In other words, let's destroy these people. Let's pile in on them. Let's virtue signal. Let's open the floodgates for the virtue signalers to condemn the chapel in the Bible Belt, by the way. That triggered me because I remember this several weeks ago when I was asked, what do you think of the Holocaust, Richie? And I gave my honest opinion. I'm sick to fucking death of hearing about it. And I had people coming at me with that. Twitter, do your thing. Out this guy. Destroy him. Publish his address. Honestly. Still dealing with that legally, by the way. Wish I could tell you about it. But that's where we are. Brilliant piece by Douglas Murray in the Mail on Sunday about this Twitter, do your thing. How about you fuck off and deal with it yourself? Go get married somewhere else or go and use your civil rights and take on the chapel or the wedding venue. Take them on in the courts. Twitter, do your thing. Fuck off. Really pisses me off, that. You know where I'm coming from, don't you? Christ, you're angry, Richie. Yeah, I'm not actually. That does drive me mad, though. And on race and race stuff, this is fascinating stuff. We're going to do a football story this morning. Why not? I was on the coke again last night. You get good coke around here. That's the good thing about living in Salford. Get good coke. This is amazing. Romelu Lukaku is a football player who until recently played for Manchester United. And then he kind of fell out with the club and he's gone to Inter Milan in Italy to play his football. He's a very good player, Lukaku. Didn't work out at United. And he's gone. And at the weekend, he was playing against Cagliari. And judging by the shirt he's wearing, they must have been away from home. And they got a penalty. And the Cagliari fans began to make monkey chants at him. And this is something that went on a lot during the 70s and 80s. Black players in football, not just in England, were subjected to complete idiots making monkey noises at them and sometimes throwing bananas at them and all that stupid behaviour that you don't see a lot of anymore, thanks be to Jesus, right? But it still goes on. But what was interesting about it, really interesting, was Lukaku's faithful, his own supporters, have gone online to say, Romelu, don't take it personally. It's not racist. It's a way of trying to distract you from doing your job. How fascinating. Now, all of these football clubs, or at least Inter Milan, Roma and a few others, they have a group of supporters called ultras. Ultras meaning sometimes that they take part in football violence, not always, but sometimes. But ultras meaning that they're absolutely obsessed, live, breathe and sleep their football club. And their ultras are called Curva Nord. And they've said Cagliari fans are not being racist. They were just trying to put you off doing your job. I've got some black viewers and listeners. They might take a very dim view of the Inter Milan fans' characterisation of the monkey chants. But I find this very interesting in this era of identity politics and victimhood and all the rest of it. So you can see Rom there, the number 9, obviously, after scoring the penalty, that's a pretty Manson lamps right there towards the Cagliari fans, and I don't blame him, right? They're making monkey noises at him. But the ultras of Inter Milan say, we're sorry that what you thought happened in Cagliari was racist. You have to understand that Italy is not like many other North European countries where racism is a real problem. We understand that it could have seemed racist to you, but it's not like that. In Italy, we use some ways only to help our teams and to try to make our opponents nervous. Not for racism, but to mess them up. We are a multi-ethnic fans organisation and we've always welcomed players from everywhere. However, we have always used that way with other teams' players in the past, and we probably will in the future. We are not racist, and so are not the Cagliari fans. So the Inter fans are saying to their beloved Romelu Lukaku, and they were waiting at the airport for him when he arrived. They love him. Number 9 is going to score loads of goals for them. He's already scored a few. They're saying, look, when black players come to us, we're going to do it to them. It's a form of respect for the fact that they are afraid of you for the goals you might score against their teams, not because they hate you or because they are racist. What do you think of that? I've said it before and I'll say it again. And I know that my black listeners, and they're welcome to come on the programme and call me out for it. And I will respectfully be very quiet and listen to you if you disagree with me. I've said this many times in the past. Real racism and some absolute tosspots making monkey noises behind a goal, I think can be exclusive. But not a lot of people agree with me. I'm prepared to admit that, but I just find that very interesting indeed. Very interesting indeed. Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi, the comedian. The comedian, Jean-Ann, the comedian. And the actress, Jean-Ann. The actress, very important. Whoopi. Don't do it, says Whoopi. Because one of the co-stars, or both co-stars of Will and Grace, want to publicly shame Hollywood A-listers who support Donald Trump. Because they don't like the fact that they live in a world where people support the politician of their choice. We can't have that. So they want to publish a list of Trump supporters. And Whoopi Goldberg, to her credit, who doesn't like Donald Trump very much and has engaged in some back and forths with the Donald on Twitter, Whoopi has said, that's McCarthyism. Don't be doing that. Regardless of what you think of people's policies and politics, people are entitled to their beliefs and their points of view without being condemned for them. You go, girl. Very good. A little bit more of that, please. A little bit more of that, please. So good for Whoopi. The last time people did this, people ended up killing themselves. This is not a good idea, says Whoopi. Well done. Go on. I know it's an old one. I've told it before, but I'll tell it again. I have this dream that Whoopi Goldberg will get married to the French actor Gérard Depardieu, and then she'll be known as Whoopi Doopy Doo. Boom, boom, boom. Bad jokes. Good jokes, though. Good jokes. Prince Andrew is due in Ireland, in the northern part of Ireland. Sinn Féin supporters giving me shit for saying Northern Ireland. All right. In the north of Ireland. Andrew can't go there because, well, this Epstein stuff is just too embarrassing. And he was going to attend the Grand Old Duke of York's Young Champions Trophy, but the appointments were cancelled Because, well, Andrew's not looking too good these days, is he? That's in the Daily Mail today. There he is. I love the picture editors. They're very good, aren't they? They always find these dodgy looking pictures, don't they? Good stuff. There's no editorializing going on there. No. Look at that picture of Andrew. Looking shifty. Yeah, dirty bastard. Okay, so whoopie doopie doo. Good for you. We like that. What else have we got? Cressida Dick. Look at this. 10:15. I wanted this to be a half an hour. The head of the Metropolitan Police, Cressida Dick, says the introduction of technology might be leading us into an Orwellian future with pre-crime predictive programs, artificial intelligence and all the rest of it. She's right. Good for her. Artificial intelligence and robotics necessitating a new code of ethics and strict legal framework. She says with all this tech, we need new ethics, a new legal framework. Otherwise, we're heading for, 1984 with all of this tech. She's right, of course. That's in the Times today. Was I a bit hard on poor Carl there earlier on, was I? Well, first of all, the moron suggested he was being shadow banned. I mean, why? Like, give me a break, you know? I don't have time for it. I told you before, I've no patience. Plenty of patience with children and small animals, but I've no patience with grown-ups. None. Never have had. Remember, back in the day, in Spain, speaking to David Icke on the phone, Icke says to me, with all your experience, Richie, which is vast, you really should have some sort of supervisory or managerial role in terms of overseeing the program production at the People's Voice. And I went, no. And he went, why? And I said, because I don't like people. I'm not diplomatic. I don't have a diplomatic bone in my body. I would never be a good supervisor or boss. You've got to know your limitations. I'm not good at getting the best out of people by treating different groups of people differently based on their characteristics. I'm a bull in a china shop. So, no. Ike was like, really? I'm fucking telling you. Of course not. Don't ever give me any authority. It won't go to my head. I won't become some sort of dictator. I'll just alienate people by being very, very short with them in demanding certain standards. So I'm not backwards and coming forwards. I'm not diplomatic when it comes to dealing with people and stuff. So that is a failing. I'll admit that it is a failing. I'm not proud of it. I'm not saying, yeah, I tell it like it is to people and they can fucking like it or lump it. I'm not saying that. I'm aware of my shortcomings. It sometimes causes me grief. But I've no fucking time for people. Look, you listen to my radio program, you know that I've lots of time for people. But I've no time for muppetry. Muppetry, that's the word. This 19-year-old Andrew Smith is a muppet. I worry about this. This goon decided to leave a noose in a lift, and he'd had run-ins before with black people. So he's a dickhead, right? Let's be honest about it now. Let's not sugarcoat it. He's obviously got some gender right issues as well, I would say. But anyway. Andrew is going to be charged. In fact, the official charges. He's been charged with a felony hate crime. This is what I have a problem with now. Felony hate crime. Now, I'm not saying that the guy shouldn't have to answer for this, of course. You can't be getting away with that. Absolutely right. But the guy's obviously a bit fucking mental, right? And he decides to do that. And he's charged with a felony hate crime. This is very serious. This guy could spend some time in prison now. When realistically, this should be dealt with by the university. Right? Andrew, this is not the place for you, pal. We think you should go home and have a think about where you're headed in life and maybe apply to some other academies or institutions, because you're obviously a very angry young man and this is not good. The university should deal with it, not the police. Shouldn't be charged with a felony hate crime. Definitely some gender issues there, I would say. And he's a moron. But it's a slippery slope. Felony hate crimes. Just expel the fucker. Or get him some counselling. Give Owen Jones a ring and send him on a journey. Oh, Jesus. Is there anything else today? Well, you won't be surprised. This is big, but you won't hear this in the news today because of Brexit. Leading psychiatrists are saying that children who receive medical treatment for gender identity issues risk serious and irreversible harm. This is a very big issue. Not going to get into it too much now because it's 10:20, but you'll find this in the Telegraph today. Very serious issue, this. I'm sure there'll be a Twitter storm about it today, but there you are. All right. Excuse me, that's it for me today. I'll be back with you. Among the guests, the author Charlie Robinson, The Octopus of Global Control. Is that the name of the book? I have the book, and I've read it. Charlie was on with me to talk about the book about 18 months ago when it came out. Lovely fella, Charlie. And he's among the guests today on the Richie Radio Show at 5 o'clock. I'm really looking forward to that. Charlie returns to the programme. Outside of that, I've nothing else to tell you this morning other than enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And I'll see you at 5. I'll leave you with Moggy again. 0 fucks given as Brexit goes down the shitter. Moggy. Right, see you at 5. Bye now.